Cool. Thank you. All right, can everyone hear me? Okay, cool. If I need to speak louder, let me know. So I think this is probably going to be the most lightweight talk of the evening, so we're going to start nice and slow. We started very on time in a crypto fashion, so welcome. The expectations have been met. All right, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here with you tonight at the Ethereum London meetup. As has already been mentioned, my name is Iris. I'm a project manager and a web developer at Consensys, more specifically within the Infura team. I do have to say, although I'm trying really hard right now, not to make it obvious, but I'm very nervous. This is my first time doing a big talk, so, you know, have some sympathy. All right, so with that being said, today we'll touch a bit on decentralization from a high-level perspective. We'll talk about Infura, what is it that we do, and also what our future plans are as for both ourselves and yourself. But first, in a manager fashion, I do like to start all my meetings with a dad joke, and I want to keep the tradition alive tonight with you. So, did you hear about the vampire who got into crypto? He got killed when he tried staking. All right, cool. So now getting to the serious part. Most of you here understand the power and the promise of decentralization and distributing control and decision-making from a central entity to a distributed network. It's literally the mission that first got me interested into Web3, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for a lot of you here tonight. But what does it really mean, right? We hear decentralize this, decentralize that. It's a term that gets thrown around so much in the crypto world, but it has so many layers to it. And I believe Vitalik captures this really well in the quote that I have behind me on the screen. So there is political decentralization, which means that no one controls the blockchain. There is also architectural decentralization, which means that your infrastructure has no central point of failure. But there will always be logical centralization, which basically means that there is one commonly agreed upon state and a system that behaves like a single computer. Now, this conclusion holds a lot of promises, and as we move into this shared ownership space of the future. And these promises are very powerful and very personal for a lot of us, especially at the Infura team. Before I move further, talking about Web3, I do actually want to talk about Web2, right? This is something that's still very relevant nowadays, and we do use a lot of the services that are very centralized still. For all the innovation and the linear progress that big tech has inspired, it has also failed to lead us into the better world that it has promised, right? It's centralized our resources and it's completely destroyed our privacy. We know from big tech that not one system can guarantee 100% uptime. And significant outages occur because of centralizing forces and systems, right? People end up getting locked out of their online banking, communication platform goes down, and as we rely more and more on these services and these applications, realistically, we are going to be more affected by these outages, right? It's a really scary thing to talk about, but it's something that is going to happen. Right, so with this being said, let's talk about Web3. Apart from reliability in Web3, we are trying to build a better world, a world with more self-sovereignty, with transparency, and with more reliability. And this would help you not place all your bets into big tech or one single entity, but rather moving towards something more decentralized. Is this possible? Some may say no. I argue yes, because the decentralized future gives us one of the best reasons to believe in it. A permissionless and a trustless ecosystem that gives the power back into the hands of the creators. By the way, I feel like I'm having a sauna right now. I'm just letting everyone know. All right, cool. So that's not to say, you know, I've just been talking kind of shit about centralization, but that's not to say that centralization hasn't been a powerful and an organizing or even a galvanizing force in our young history of Web3 thus far. So popular and effective points of centralization in the current state of the blockchain in the crypto world include popular fiat on-ramps and centralized exchanges. We've got off-chain data troves like Etherscan. We've also got roll-up sequencers and bridges, all of which basically have open access to blockchain and to Web3 for a whole new generation of participants. Every developer in this room, I'm pretty sure you know the OctoCat there, which is GitHub's mascot. GitHub is a central code repository owned by Microsoft, one of the largest centralized computer tech companies in the world. And of course, to call out the elephant in the room, we have RPC providers, which are also centralized. And this is Infura, which it's a great segue into actually talking about the most awesome company in the world, for me, maybe. For you, we'll see. So how many developers do we have in the room? Can I just get a show of hands? All right, sweet. I know you guys didn't came here for a workout, but how many of the developers who raised their hands have actually heard and used Infura? Can I get a raise of hands again? Sweet. So many of you know Infura and what it stands for. It's a gateway to Ethereum infrastructure, right? It's one that makes it possible for thousands of brilliant developers like yourselves to build the future we envision. Infura is built by a passionate, very, very global team who care about growing the ecosystem and making the world just a little bit better than we left it. So from the very beginning, we believe that only through the widespread adoption of Ethereum, we can fully realize its potential. And one step closer to bringing us to that goal is for us to do what we do best, and that's providing infrastructure as a service. So together, we strive to deliver the best tooling and the best infrastructure for developers to help them build trustless solutions to solve real-world problems. So I'm sure I have a lot of people in the audience who are probably a bit more technical than me, but I've dipped my toes in the deep waters of the beautiful world of running nodes. And I think we all know that running them is very resource extensive, the same as running a server. And especially archival nodes are that hold like so much information. It's just so extensive. Running your own nodes to connect to the Ethereum, exactly the same story, right? For example, running a full node on Ethereum takes about 35 days to set up, but with Infura, you can get that connection instantly. Now, you can think of Infura as your gateway to blockchain, and it plays basically a very vital role in ensuring that the crucial data is transferred between the interfaces. So you can kind of think of Infura as a really, really efficient matchmaker between your server and your network. We host nodes for a variety of networks, from the likes of Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, IPFS, you name it, we probably do it. Developers basically can simply add one line of code to their dApps, and they can send transactions to Ethereum almost instantly. And we've been doing this since 2016. Shout out DevCon 2. If you've been there since OG days. We've been powering dApps through the ICO mania, the CryptoKitties craze, the Black Thursday, pretty much all major significant events that have been happening in Ethereum. And for the past 6 years, since the inception at DevCon 2, we have been so lucky to be part of this journey along a very big suite of major players in this ecosystem, from the likes of MetaMask, Uniswap, Maker, Polygon, and many more. And today, Infura's dominance on the Ethereum network is over 50%. And although we started out with very humble beginnings, we have unwittingly become a very centralizing force in the ecosystem with more than 400,000 registered users. And we're basically processing over 10 billion transactions a day. Last year, we've processed about 263 Ethereum transactions. So this all sounds great, right? It sounds perfect, but there is a double-edged sword to our wins, and that's basically the very uncomfortable outages that we've seen that have had a very big and significant impact both on our developers as well as the ecosystem. And often you've seen this in the media. I'm sure everyone checks Twitter, the Bible of the media, whatever you want to call it. Whenever there's an outage, don't even bother going to our status page. You're going to find it on Twitter. Someone's going to tweet about it. Right. as a leader in the ecosystem, right, we've got quite a big market share. We feel the responsibility to find a solution to improve our service and to basically bridge that gap of the liability of a single point of failure that I mentioned earlier, right, in what Vitalik was saying. Now, our plan was always to work towards this and to build towards like decentralization as well as 100% uptime. And honestly, now we believe that this is the right time to take that leap. So back in 2016, Infura was really pretty much the only node provider in the space. So there was not much choice. And this literally led to the start of Infura's journey as a service to support the wider ecosystem, especially the early community we grew alongside with, the big names that I mentioned earlier. So this is why Infura was actually free in its entirety until July 2019, and we still hold up to this day a free tier, and we will continue to do so because our goal has always been and will always be to enable developers to have easy access to a production-ready and a reliable web-free infrastructure. Now, we don't live in 2016 anymore, right? So it's 2022, the world has changed, the universe of node provider is booming. There's so many different options out there right now, and it's expanding so rapidly, and you can feel in the ecosystem that it's just ready for decentralization. Achieving 100% uptime requires a wide network of node providers to handle requests to the kind of very excessive volumes that we've seen in those like network events that I mentioned earlier. The node providers need community support, and they need deeper resources to power the flawless experiences we want to see. So, oh yeah, shout out to Poked. We're also excited to see their network going down the road of decentralization as well. Cool. So, open standards, open architecture. This has always been in our DNA, and since like day dot. Now we're approaching the ability to fully achieve this and to fully come basically back circle on our initial vision by offering a decentralized option. So a decentralized network could help prevent things like the 2 outages that I mentioned earlier that I'm sure everyone saw in the media. It's going to offer us better shared uptime. We're going to have wider access to new networks, and we're going to be able to get insightful reports on better measurement of decentralization. So it could also mean zero downtime, which sounds really good, doesn't it? So in doing so, we would basically underscore our vision for a truly multi-chain future, and it would allow developers and us to interoperate with the multiple of providers, not necessarily all of which we would have to support ourselves. So in a collaborative network like this, the community can update the software, the feedback loop is continuous, and it's just going to improve transparency, and it's going to equalize the mindshare in the space, which sounds pretty damn awesome, right? So with this collaboration, I believe we're going to get one step closer to building better software, building a better experience, and ultimately building a better world. I love this one. Cool. So last month, if you watched ETH Berlin, we've made this super cool announcement. I don't want to steal the spotlight from EG. He gave a really, really awesome talk. So I would highly suggest you guys give it a watch because it's so amazing and it's much more technical than what I'm about to tell you. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of these things, give it a watch. Mega shout out to EG. I hope he's going to watch this later. Wink, wink. Sorry. Cool. Basically, in a nutshell, the decentralized network will be a complementary offering to our current API services. And this is really, really awesome and really exciting. And it's just the start of something really amazing. So basically, the end game that we envision is very easy, right? We want a decentralized ecosystem capable of 100% uptime. The more we share the bounty of Web3's growth, the more we as a community grow, both individually and collectively. So at Infura, we're accepting nothing less than what we set out for. And that is for us to be a model of Web 2 to Web 3 evolution, not only for ourselves, but for many other technology operations, organizations in the years to come. Right. So where are we in the process of this announcement that we've made? So right now we're in the design and the research phase. So that means we're very meticulously considering everything from network roles, operations, benefits, go-to-market initiatives, and much more. So with this whole decentralization of our services, we're taking a phased approach. So what this means is it's going to begin as a federated network of node providers, and over time, we're going to go towards that full decentralization that we're aiming to get. Now, there are two immediate outcomes that are really good and that I really, really would like to highlight today. So we're going to encourage a cocktail approach by default. So that means is when you're going to send requests through our APIs, this is going to go to multiple providers, not just us. And also, it's going to offer us much more greater reliability with the end goal in mind of getting to that 100% uptime that I keep boasting on about. Cool. So with that being said, we've had an initial target when we first set out to announce this of getting 6 infrastructure providers. And we received nearly 300 subscriptions, which is amazing because that means the community is really excited about this. Now, that doesn't mean that the list is closed. So if you're interested in joining an early access program, you need, obviously, some interest in decentralizing blockchain API access, and you need a genuine willingness to actively participate and to provide feedback, as well as ideally having some experience in running blockchain infrastructure. So if these things tick your box and it's something that you'd like to learn more about, if you scan that QR code right there, that should take us to our website where we have a form, and then you can just get in touch with us and we can talk more about this. And this has been me. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions.
If anyone has any questions, we have about 5 minutes for some questions. So over to you guys.
If not, I'm coming to the pub later as well, so I might be just saying.
Anyone, any questions? Going once?
I've blown them away. That's it.
Blown them away. Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.